We only look at 19% of the total budget on average every year.
In 2024, we heard from now former state senator Scott Herndon about the inner workings of Idaho's budgeting process, a concept that revolved around approving a base budget centered on the previous year's budget and then adding on a few new requests from the agencies, enhancements. And criticism of that workflow included the concept of bad spending in one year then being baked into the base for all future years with no real conversation about if that allocation is still needed. And while criticisms like that were coming in, the leaders of Idaho's budgeting committee, JFAC, Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee, they were hard at work building a new process. Now, Senator Herndon was speaking in support of that and explained that the process would look at more than 80% of the budget each year, opposed to just 19%. And the process is converted to passing maintenance budgets, basically budgets to keep the lights on, so to speak, and then circling back to additional budget items, line items, in a second vote later on in the session. And that'd be for every single agency. And there was heated debates this past year about what a maintenance budget is, and that will likely continue. But a key conversation point was the request for more data for lawmakers to dive into in a digestible format. Give the hard numbers and historical records for lawmakers to at least have the option to have an educated debate without having 3-hour marathon presentations every day to start the session from every agency. JFAC co-chair Scott Grow addressed the concerns in a special meeting today.
My big concern is what is in the base, because we always had the base, we just kept enhancements every year. And so this is our first major attempt to really be able to dig into the base, not just for the last year, but to go back several years.
And to do that, they have a brand new numbers tool, which was debuted today at the State House, and it's one that everyone will have access to.
Today is a big day. This is something that I know Senator Grow and I have been working toward for 3 years in our quest to increase the transparency and accountability of budgeting in the state of Idaho. Basically, this is a tool that helps us look to the past to help us look ahead to the future. How can we move forward? Because we now have access to trends. Think of the Great Recession and the Big Dip. Think of the pandemic and the big mountain of revenue that we suddenly found ourselves with, most of it one time. What investments were made? These are numbers that can help us ask better questions. They're not the whole story. We're missing the words, but we have access to the numbers now in a way as legislators, as the public, and certainly our staff. And so we hope it improves the quality of our budget hearing process and the budget process in general.
And you saw the tool there in action. Budgeting trends, where money is coming from in the budgets, if it's federal or state money, indications on if money was a one-time allocation and what for, and also indications on how the base budget is built for each agency. There's also a solo tab, which is a list of all budget enhancements to the maintenance budget, and a category of it is ongoing or one time, so more data for lawmakers to jump into. And numbers are great, but some members of the committee questioned if there is enough context in the tool, like inflation and growth.
If they're going to be using this, my fear is they're just going to look at the line that shows growth and not understand all the areas that are involved in budgeting, including one-time federal funding, including, as I said before, inflation, population and growth, and I think they're going to need to know how that fits into the budget.
This tool is for asking questions. It tells us the numbers so that we, again, can see the past to move forward into the future and have appropriate context around those.
So a tool like this, numbers and information that's easily digestible, it's great, but like any tool, it depends on how you use it. In the budgeting process, the session is expected to be very different than in years past. Gone are the major cash infusions and balances from the COVID era. Lawmakers are already working on budgets. We will officially see them in January.